Anthony Edwards is my guy. That's the guy I'm looking at right now. He's my face. He's my next face of the NBA.
When I think about Anthony Edwards and I think about what he's capable of doing, he's the most dangerous player in the Western Conference this postseason.
He has shown signs of being Jordan-esque, dare I say. This brother is special.
There are some players who grow into greatness, and then there are the ones who just are. Anthony Edwards never tried to convince anyone with words. He didn't need to. From the moment he touched a basketball, he made it look easy. Explosive, powerful, effortless. He was goofy, he smiled too much, he joked around in interviews. He didn't act like the player we were used to calling the one. Some said he cared more about football, that he lacked intensity, that he wasn't serious enough to be a franchise player. But people mistook his joy for weakness. What they didn't know was the pain underneath it all. At 14 years old, he lost his mother and his grandmother, just months apart. That's when the switch flipped. Basketball became more than a game. It became a mission to become everything they believed he could be. Fast forward to 2024. Minnesota, a franchise defined by dysfunction, suddenly looked dangerous. Because Ant didn't just grow, he took over. They didn't win in spite of him, they won because of him. He blew past Phoenix. He went toe-to-toe with Jokic and came out on top. He led the Timberwolves to their best season since Kevin Garnett, and he did it without flinching. No fear, no fake tough guy energy, just a 22-year-old with the swagger of a veteran and the hunger of someone who still remembers what it's like to lose everything. Ant wasn't supposed to be here this fast, but if you've been watching since the beginning, you knew this was coming. Because the story of Anthony Edwards, it's not about a rival, it's about destiny. Ant didn't grow up chasing NBA dreams. He grew up in Atlanta, a city that breeds confidence, toughness, and athletes. And from the start, he looked like all three.
Sounds like you're just an athlete.
Yeah.
Okay, ping pong, baseball, football, basketball.
Tennis, swimming, lacrosse, whatever you need me to play, I'm gonna go do it. If it's some money on the line, I'm gonna go do it.
He wasn't known as a basketball player, he was a football player. Quarterback, running back, safety, he had the frame of a linebacker and the speed of a corner. Scouts said if he stuck with it, he could have gone pro. He believed them. Until his world changed. In 2015, within just 8 months, he lost his mother and grandmother to cancer. The two women who raised him, his anchors, gone. He was only 14 years old. For a while, he hid the pain with smiles. But inside, something shifted. He decided he was going to honor them, and that meant going all in on the game they loved watching him play, basketball. He wasn't polished, he wasn't focused, but he was electric. By 15, he was dunking with ease. By 16, scouts were flooding the gym. And by 17, he was the #1 player in the country. He didn't come from a powerhouse program, he didn't have a national TV deal, but he had bounce, he had joy. And most importantly, he had purpose. He wasn't just good, he was different. As Ant's name started climbing the recruiting rankings, the offers came flooding in. Duke, Kentucky, North Carolina. The Blue Bloods wanted him. But Ant didn't want the easy path. He chose the University of Georgia, a school better known for football than Final Fours. People questioned it immediately. But for Ant, it wasn't about spotlight. It was about being home. It was about showing that he could lift a program, not just ride one. And he did. From his very first game, he was the guy. He had 24 points, 9 rebounds, 4 steals in his debut. A few weeks later, he dropped 37 in the Maui Invitational, including 33 in one half. NBA scouts were sold on the talent, but others still nitpicked. Georgia finished just 16-16. No March Madness, no conference title run, but if you watched closely, you saw a freshman carrying a team with no NBA talent, creating his own shots, defending, leading in every category. He didn't pout, he didn't transfer, he just showed up. And when the draft came, he was still the #1 pick, even if half the world still wasn't sure why.
With the first pick in the 2020 NBA Draft, the Minnesota Timberwolves select Anthony Edwards from the University of Georgia.
The Timberwolves took Anthony Edwards number 1 in the 2020 NBA draft. It wasn't a surprise, but it wasn't a consensus either. Some scouts saw the potential, others saw a risk, and the questions kept piling up. Meanwhile, LaMelo Ball, the media darling, was dazzling in Charlotte. Behind-the-back passes, deep threes, highlight reels every night. By comparison, Ant looked inconsistent. He struggled with efficiency, his defense was shaky, and the Wolves kept losing. They called him the wrong pick, said he was too goofy, too immature. But the Timberwolves saw something else, a work ethic that didn't waver, a competitive fire hidden behind jokes and flashes, big ones. 40-point games, one of the greatest posters of the decade, game-winning shots and late-game stops. By the end of his rookie year, the narrative flipped. He didn't win Rookie of the Year, but he didn't need to. The league had no idea what was coming. The first thing you notice about Ant isn't his step back. It isn't the dunks or the defense or even the scoring. It's the smile.
Where you from, Jim?
Ireland.
I like your accent. It's tough.
Oh.
I want to learn how to talk like that.
Ant doesn't talk like your typical superstar. He sings in press conferences. He jokes about being able to play in the NFL or Wimbledon. He says things with such confidence, you don't know if he's trolling or just telling the truth. And that threw people off, because we're used to number 1 picks being stone-faced assassins. Kobe, Duncan, LeBron. But Ant? He laughed through interviews, danced during warm-ups, and seemed like a kid just having fun. Critics thought it meant he didn't care, but his teammates knew the truth. Behind that grin was one of the most competitive guys in the league. He watched film obsessively, not to learn what he did wrong, but to figure out how to destroy you the next time. And when the lights came on, he turned into something else entirely. The jokes stopped, but the buckets didn't. By the end of the second season, it was clear this wasn't a personality, it wasn't a persona, and the league was finally starting to realize. Year 3 wasn't just a leap in production, it was a shift in energy. Minnesota had vets. Karl-Anthony Towns was the all-star. Rudy Gobert was the defensive player of the year. But somehow the guy everyone looked to in big moments was 21-year-old Anthony Edwards. The coaches saw it, the players felt it, the media started catching up. 25 points per game, improved defense, playmaking strides. But it was the intangibles that changed everything. He started calling out switches on defense. He pulled teammates aside during timeouts. He took over huddles in crunch time. He wasn't waiting to be handed the keys, he stole them. He wanted the pressure. He wanted the challenge. He wanted to be held responsible when things went wrong. And that changed everything. Because the Wolves, for the first time in decades, had an identity, and it came from their youngest star. April 2022, the Timberwolves were playing in a do-or-die play-in game. Pressure, stakes, spotlight. Ant didn't blink. He dropped 30 on the Clippers and sent Minnesota to the playoffs. That alone should have been the coming-out party, but it was just the warm-up. In round 1, he faced the Memphis Grizzlies, led by Ja Morant, the league's newest poster child. And Ant showed up. He averaged 25 a game, attacked relentlessly, played both ends of the floor, and delivered clutch shots that made the league take notice. While Ja danced and talked, Ant just hooped. He guarded the best players, hit big shots in silence, and made it very clear this moment wasn't too big. Minnesota lost the series in 6, a wild, emotional battle. But Ant walked off the floor like he won something bigger: respect, validation, fear. He proved that he wasn't just a future face of the league, he was already one of the most dangerous players in it. And the next time he got to the playoffs, he wasn't coming for the experience, he was coming for blood. In the summer of 2023, Ant was handed something most stars earn later in their career: the keys to Team USA. With Jalen Brunson, Tyrese Halliburton, Mikal Bridges all on the roster, it was Ant who took the last shots. It was Ant who drew the toughest matchups. It was Ant who had the press room buzzing every night. And it wasn't just the scoring, it was the swagger. The way he talked to opponents, the way he looked at the camera like he knew what was coming, the way he carried the legacy of the red, white, and blue like it was made for him. Steve Kerr said it himself. He knows he's the guy. Team USA didn't win gold. They fell short in the medal rounds, but what the world saw was him becoming a leader on the biggest stage. Not afraid of expectations, not ducking the moment, just stepping into it, like he always knew it belonged to him. By 2024, the Minnesota Timberwolves weren't just a fun team anymore, they were a problem. They won 56 games, the most in franchise history. Top 5 in offense, top 5 in defense, and at the center of it all, Anthony Edwards. He led the team in scoring, steals, energy, and heartbeat. He was no longer the young gun, he was the franchise. In the first round, the Wolves swept Phoenix. Ant didn't just outplay Devin Booker, he went at Kevin Durant. He defended, he attacked, he told the cameras, "I don't fear nobody." Then came the defending champs. Denver, Jokic, Murray, all that playoff equity. And Ant didn't flinch. He averaged nearly 32 points in the series, outdueled Jamal Murray, took over in the fourth and hit big shots. Minnesota won in 6. Suddenly, the league didn't see Ant as next, they saw him as now. He had ascended from highlight reel kid to certified playoff killer. And if you still weren't convinced, he wasn't worried. The Western Conference Finals weren't a coronation, they were a war. And even though Minnesota came up short, he never looked like a player getting his first taste of the spotlight. He looked like the one setting the tone. Double teams didn't shake him, adjustments didn't slow him down. He made plays, controlled tempo, and held his composure like a 10-year vet. Teammates followed his energy. Coaches trusted his voice. Fans in every arena started to realize what they were watching. The birth of a superstar who wasn't waiting for his moment. He'd already taken it. And after the series ended, he didn't sulk. He thanked his opponents, dapped up the refs, told the media, "We'll be back." Because that's what leaders do. That's what franchise players sound like. And now nobody questioned it anymore. He wasn't just a promising young star, he was the future. Ant didn't sneak up on the league. He told them early. He told them he was different. He told them he could play every sport. He told them he wasn't scared of anybody. But what made him special wasn't just the confidence, it was the conviction. Through every doubt, he never flinched. When people said he was too raw, he worked. When they said he smiled too much, he got serious. And when they said he wasn't ready, he proved they weren't. What we're watching now isn't a surprise. It's a fulfillment of a kid from Atlanta who turned loss into fuel, of a football player who chose a different path, of a top pick who chose leadership over applause. He didn't come into the league asking for anything. He came to take it. And what he's doing now, taking over playoff games, leading a franchise, rewriting narratives, it's not an arrival, it's a confirmation. Anthony Edwards isn't next, he's now. And if you've been watching from the start, you knew this wasn't just a breakout. This was destiny. He didn't grow into greatness, he was built for it.